An empty vessel makes the most noise. You've heard that your whole life. Perhaps you smiled at it, nodded, moved on. But did you feel it? Right now, at this very moment, somewhere, someone is talking too much, explaining themselves to someone who doesn't deserve the explanation, defending a decision that required no defense, filling silence with words the way a frightened child fills darkness with sound. That someone might be you. And here's the uncomfortable truth they will never tell you. Your need to be heard is your greatest vulnerability. It is the thread others pull to unravel you. It is the door you leave open while believing you are safe. Every word you speak unnecessarily is a window into your architecture, your fears, your desires, your weaknesses, offered freely like gifts to those who will use them against you. The wise have always known this, and today you will too. The power of silence. Why the wise speak less. Act 1. The forgotten discipline. 2,000 years ago, a man who was born a slave became one of the most powerful philosophers in the ancient world. His name was Epictetus. He owned nothing. He controlled nothing. Not his body, not his freedom, not his fate. And yet, he arrived at a truth so precise, so unshakable, that emperors and generals would later study it in desperation. He said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This was not a suggestion about politeness. This was architecture. This was the blueprint of the disciplined mind. Epictetus understood that the mouth is an exit, and every exit, left unguarded, is a liability. The ears, however, are instruments of intelligence, 2 of them, always open, always receiving, always gathering what others carelessly surrender in conversation. And then there was Seneca, statesman, philosopher, a man who lived inside the chaotic heart of the Roman Empire, where politics was poison and a misplaced word could cost you everything. Seneca wrote in a letter to his friend Lucilius, "Retire into yourself as much as you can. Not retreat, not withdrawal, retirement into the self. There is a difference. Retreat is fear, retirement is mastery. It is the conscious, deliberate choice to stop performing for the world and start observing it." This is what the Stoics called intellectual discipline. Not the suppression of thought, but the governance of expression. The understanding that the mind is a palace and the mouth is its gate, and a palace whose gates are always wide open is not a palace. It is a ruin waiting to happen. In a world drowning in noise, in notifications and opinions, in the desperate, chaotic hunger to be seen, intellectual discipline is not just philosophy. It is survival. Act 2. The 3 pillars. Pillar 1. Edik, silence as a shield. Protecting your energy. Energy is not infinite. Every conversation costs something. Every argument, every unnecessary explanation, every moment spent justifying your choices to people who have already made up their minds about you. Each one is a withdrawal from an account that does not replenish easily. Most people do not understand this. They speak as though words are free. They are not. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, a man who carried the weight of an entire civilization on his shoulders, wrote in his private journal, "Never intended for public eyes. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice what he did not say. He did not say, "Explain yourself." He did not say, "Make them understand." He did not say, "Argue until you are right," because he knew the moment you enter a debate you didn't need to enter, you have already lost something. The moment you defend yourself to someone who is not genuinely seeking truth, you have handed them your energy on a silver plate. Silence is the shield that no argument can penetrate. When someone provokes you, and they will, and you respond with stillness instead of fire. You become unreadable, and what cannot be read cannot be manipulated. Think of the most powerful person you have ever encountered in your life. Not the loudest, not the most aggressive, but the one who made you slightly nervous in their presence without doing anything at all. Chances are, they were quiet. There's a resonance to a person who does not feel the need to fill every silence. An invisible gravity. Others sense it before they understand it. They lean in, they listen harder, they wonder what is happening behind those still eyes. This is not mysticism. This is psychology. Silence signals self-sufficiency, and self-sufficiency signals power. Guard your energy like the fortress it is. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every provocation deserves a response. Not every person in your life has earned access to your inner world. Speak when it matters. Be a fortress the rest of the time. Pillar 2. Silence as a mirror. Listening to understand true motives. When you stop talking, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear. Not just words. Not just the surface of conversation, but the architecture beneath it. The hesitations. The repeated themes. The things people say 3 different ways because they want you to agree, and you haven't yet. The flattery that arrives just before a request. The anger that lives inside a joke when you are busy performing, crafting your next sentence, waiting for your moment to speak, planning your rebuttal. You are blind to all of it. But the silent observer, they see everything. Epictetus understood that most human suffering comes from our reaction to the world, not the world itself. And you cannot understand the world, cannot truly read it, if you are constantly broadcasting into it. The mirror only works when it is still. In your next conversation, conduct an experiment. Ask a question. Then go completely silent. Let the silence grow. Most people cannot tolerate silence in conversation. They will rush to fill it. And in that rush, in that moment of slight social discomfort, they will tell you more than they ever intended to. They will reveal priorities, insecurities, the thing they actually wanted to say from the beginning. This is not manipulation. This is clarity. The Stoics were obsessed with seeing things as they truly are, not as you wish them to be, not as others present them to be, but as they are. And the only way to achieve that clarity is to remove yourself as noise from the equation. A mind full of its own voice cannot receive truth. A mind disciplined into stillness becomes a precision instrument, reading rooms, reading people, reading situations with an accuracy that those who speak first and think second will never achieve. This is the gift of the silent observer. They always know more than they reveal, and that asymmetry, knowing more than you show, is one of the most quietly powerful positions a human being can occupy. Pillar 3. Silence as strength. Moving in shadows, winning in light. History does not remember the loudest men. It remembers the most deliberate ones. Think of every great strategist, every great builder, every person who shaped the world in ways that still echo centuries later. They did not announce their intentions. They did not post their progress. They did not seek validation from those around them before they had earned the result. They moved in silence. They built in silence. They prepared in silence. And then, when the time was exactly right, they arrived, not with fanfare, with evidence. Seneca wrote, "Nusquam est qui ubique est." One who is everywhere is nowhere. The man who announces every idea has already diluted it. The energy that should have gone into building the thing went instead into talking about it, into seeking the dopamine of approval before the work was done. And approval, Seneca knew, is a trap. Because once you are addicted to the approval of speaking about your goals, you no longer need to achieve them. The talking becomes the substitute for the doing. The noise becomes the replacement for the result. The silent person suffers no such trap. They have no audience to perform for, no narrative to maintain, no one to disappoint but themselves, and they are harder to disappoint than any crowd. This is why silence produces dominance, not dominance over others. The Stoics had no interest in tyranny, but dominance over circumstance, over impulse, over the chaotic pull of a world that wants your attention, your reaction, your energy, your time, every second of every day. When you move in silence, you are invisible to the forces that would distract you. You become like the hawk on the branch, perfectly still, perfectly present, watching the field below with patient, unblinking intelligence. And when you strike, when you finally speak, finally act, finally release what you have been building in the quiet, it lands with the full weight of everything that was held back. That is the power of restraint. That is the strength that silence forges. Act 3. The cost of constant noise. We live inside a machine designed to extract your voice. Every platform, every feed, every notification is an invitation. Say something, show something, be seen. And in this environment, silence feels radical. It feels almost reckless, as though by not participating in the noise, you are somehow falling behind. But consider what the noise is actually costing you. Every reactive comment made in anger, a withdrawal, every oversharing in a moment of vulnerability with the wrong person, a wound, every argument entered out of ego rather than principle, an entire afternoon of your finite life burned for nothing. The ancient Stoics would look at the modern world and see not progress, but distraction at scale. A civilization of people screaming into an infinite void, mistaking the echo for connection, mistaking visibility for significance. True significance is not loud. Look at the ocean. It does not announce its depth. Look at the mountain. It does not explain its height. Look at the person in any room who makes you feel instinctively that they carry something, some quality you cannot name but want to be near. They are not performing, they are present. There is a difference so vast between those two states that it is almost the difference between living and merely appearing to live. Presence is earned through silence, through the discipline of holding your peace long enough to actually find it. The Stoic challenge. Outro. You have listened. Good. Now comes the harder part. For the next 24 hours, I want you to conduct a single experiment. One day. One practice, not forever, just one day, to see who you are when the performance stops. Here's the challenge. Observe more than you speak. In every conversation today, pause before you respond. Let 1 full second of silence exist before your words begin. Notice how uncomfortable that feels. Notice the impulse to rush in, to fill the space, to explain, to justify, to be heard. Then, choose not to. Ask one more question than you normally would, and then go quiet. Listen not just to respond, but to understand. Let others reveal themselves. Let the room tell you what it knows. Post nothing on social media for 24 hours. Not because the platforms are evil, but because you deserve to experience yourself without the performance, without the audience, without the mirror of other people's reactions shaping your thoughts before you've had time to think them. And at the end of the day, write down 3 things you notice that you would have missed if you'd been too busy talking. 3 things about yourself, about others, about the world that exists in the space between words. The Stoics did not seek peace by escaping the world. They found it by mastering their relationship to it. One discipline at a time, one choice at a time, one moment of chosen silence at a time. You cannot control what others say. You cannot control the noise of the age you were born into. You cannot silence the storm outside. But you can become the stillness inside it. Unshakable, present, watching. The empty vessel does not make noise. It makes room. Room for wisdom, for clarity, for the kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself, because when it finally moves, the world already knows. Speak less, no more, be unbreakable.